Okay, so is this our second session? Yeah, this is our second session after the consult. How long have you been watching my YouTube videos?
A couple of years.
Couple of years. So we were just talking about, oh my God, I can't believe I even spaced it. We were talking about the why the scale actually is kind of, don't you agree that it has given you somewhat of an indication of where you're at? The desire to want to weigh, the curiosity to see what's happened since we started, right?
Yes.
Because you've been eating at that table of abundance where you can have anything and everything and that the world has in front of you. No shame, no guilt, no pressure to go back to a table of deprivation and dieting. We got rid of that. And so you've been sitting at this table of abundance for a week, right? About a week?
Yeah, a little over a week.
Little over a week. And in a nutshell, how has that been?
It's, I'm still feeling really good about myself. I still am eating what I want, when I want, if I'm hungry, and I stop when I'm not.
Okay, before, what would you have done at that table of abundance?
Oh, I would have binged.
Yeah.
I would have snacked on everything that I could get my hands on because I was going to go back to not eating or cutting out one food category or the other.
Yeah, so you need to get it as much as you can before you go back into that table of being deprived. So
Right.
We got rid of that table, and wouldn't you agree there's a fear that if I go sit at that table, I'm going to eat permanently huge amounts, gobs and gobs and gobs of food. What's going to keep me from not eating if I don't have that table of depriving myself, right? So the impulse, did that happen? Sitting at that table with cereal, bread, pudding, cakes, pastries, pasta, rice, pork, bacon. I mean, we're talking everything and anything on the face of the planet, right? Have you had the impulse to binge? No. Someone hearing this is going, well, that's because she's not a clinically diagnosed binge eater, because for us, it's terrible, right?
I think everybody has the same thought process, even though we all think we're alone.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I'm addicted. I'm addicted. Robin doesn't know all the science about addiction and the pleasure center of the brain and how all these foods have all these toxins that are like there to make you want more, so you eat the whole bag. Anyway, so here we are. You've kicked butt. You're having this incredible freedom. First time in how long have you felt like this free?
Oh, I don't even remember. It's been so ingrained in me for so long that
since childhood,
I don't remember having this relaxed feeling about food.
So how long have you been dieting?
15 years.
Okay.
Pretty hardcore.
Pretty hardcore.
Okay. I
Okay.
would say probably before that, maybe when I was in my late 20s.
So 20 years
of... in my early 30s.
Yeah, I mean, how long have you been feeling ashamed about your body?
About 15 years.
Got it. Okay, so here we are. And you were like, I had a curiosity to weigh myself because you feel like you're losing weight. You were curious. Maybe I'm eating so much less. Oh my God, I could maybe lose weight. And you caught yourself and said, I don't care. I don't want to care anymore. Because you had that.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, you heard your boyfriend or husband. I can't remember.
Boyfriend.
Okay, whatever. Your fiance weigh himself, and you were like, oh my God, I wonder what I weigh. Just out of curiosity, because you weighed yourself 2 weeks ago, and you were like, it doesn't matter. And I'm just like, bravo, it doesn't matter, because you're not going to change the way you eat at all. So if you're not going to change the way you eat, that this table of abundance is never going anywhere. That means the number on the scale, whether it's high, low, the same, relative to your expectation, right? Because expectations are what drive a lot of eating behavior around food, right? Expectations of your weight, size, shape, body checking, clothes checking, weight checking, whatever method you're using, those checks make a big impact on how you eat and exercise when you have this body image obsession. So if you're not going to change the way you're eating and behaving permanently. It will never change. Now there's the influence of the scale. It doesn't have power because no matter what you weigh in relation to what you thought, you think, you want, your expectations, you're not going to change anything. So there's no power. Before, it changed everything. If I weigh this, I'll do that. If I don't weigh this, I'll do this, right?
Right.
So it kind of loses its influence because no matter what it is, no matter how you react, nothing is going to change. That's something that we had to do immediately to recover. Do you see that?
Yes.
And you were saying, well, it's funny because, go ahead and tell the listener.
Okay, so I've been watching the videos for a couple of years, and there's been several times that I wanted to contact you, and then I wasn't ready yet because I felt like I maybe needed to lose 10 pounds because I didn't want to be at the weight that you were going to say that I had to stay at, quote unquote, or that I would have to be happy with where I am exactly at this moment in time. And I was like, oh, if I just lose 10 pounds, then maybe I can call her. So I'll be okay with the number that, it's going to be the arbitrary number that's floating around in my mind that makes it okay.
Yeah, that I'll be more comfortable with a thinner body so that I can recover from thin, obsession and thin supremacy. So I'm going to be as thin as I can get so that I can be comfortable with my thinness before I get recovery.
Right. Which is ridiculous.
Well, you see it on the other side. Now that you're on this other side, since we began working together, you see that. You're like, oh my gosh, that's like defeats the point of recovery. You're never going to recover if you do that. And my question to you is this. How much weight did you gain trying to lose 10 pounds?
Probably 15.
Right? So you're not just, so that 10 pound lower number, you're actually 25 pounds higher since then.
Probably, yeah.
Because you were feasting before the famine, and you're proving everything you're listening to on my YouTubes. You're like, holy crap, everything she's saying, but I should lose weight first so then I could be comfortable with my body before she tells me to be uncomfortable with it, right?
Right. And I was never comfortable, so it was a moot point. It's just, something I was like bargaining with myself in my head.
So what was it?
To make it okay for me to get help.
Yeah, bargaining. Yeah. So what was it? Well, and there's fear, right? Because you've heard enough, you've been watching my YouTubes enough that you're listening to me going, there's truth here, clearly for you, right? Yeah. Otherwise you wouldn't have watched. You would have been like, Robin's a total bitch. I hate her. She's ruining everything. She's like clouding people's minds with like crap, right? Some people think that because they're so health righteous, right? And they're thinking that, trying to lose weight is healthy.
Well, it's not.
Crickets.
It wasn't for me.
I know. It's not. But the illusion is great. The fantasy of that is like fantastic. But reality is that it's not. So anyway, what was it for you that broke your back to where you're like, I have to start? What was the awareness for you to where you realized I can no longer continue to do this?
I just honestly felt like I could not take one more day of beating myself up over how I felt, how I looked in the mirror, how I felt people were comparing me to other people, or how I compare myself to other people. And I absolutely couldn't do it anymore. I think I said in my email to you, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I need to be free of this obsession with weight loss.
What do you think? What was the most biggest impact for you in this is our third talking session together. Between the first and the third, what for you made the most influence on that moment where you said, it's over? Because I think the way where you were when you came to me was a big deal. You needed to do all of what you were trying to do to get here, right?
Yes.
But was there anything in particular that made your mind go, oh my God, over? What was
I think
it?
it was probably talking about the table of deprivation and abundance, where I can choose to sit and, you know,
Yeah, that's a big one.
the table of abundance while I'm eating chicken or something crappy like that, and wanting to go over to the table of abundance and eat, you know, like a normal person, what I perceive would be a normal person, which is you just eat and then you stop eating when you don't want it anymore, or you're not hungry anymore. Whereas before it would be like, okay, I'm going to starve myself for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days, and then maybe an event would come up or something, and then I would go gung-ho, like
crazy,
psycho, crazy eating, and realizing that if it's just there for me all the time, that it's not that big of a deal. The food is just food now. It's just fuel.
Before, did you think you were?
It tastes good.
Yeah. Did you think you were addicted to food before?
Yeah, I think I probably felt like I was addicted to food.
Yeah, where you bought into that prior to understanding this.
Right, but I really think that maybe I was addicted to my behavior.
Yeah.
That I couldn't stop.
Yeah. Do you see now? It's the food is like such a small part. It's a big part because we're so wired to get it and need it pleasurably. Right. It's a big part, but it's really a small part of why you were binging. It had a lot more to do with shame about your body.
Yes.
Do you see that as like that is the root core right there, shame about the body, because that's what creates the urge and need to deprive. Because I can fix this, and when I fix it, there's that fantasy of I'll feel free from this shame. I'll feel free from feeling bad, right? I'll feel free. That's why, that's the only reason why you actually diet, because you believe in this mirage that if I go into the cage and sit at that table that is mostly empty, that's with a bunch of thin people who are super self-righteous, that I will be happy like they are, right?
Right.
That's another thing. Have you seen, because you're living in a world of dieting. Your boyfriend still weighs himself, right? You still have it everywhere. I think a lot of people get stuck on, but I live in a culture that truly worships thinner people. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. That doesn't, on the other side of this, it doesn't control you anymore. How do you feel about that now?
I kind of feel bad for people.
I know, the very different perspective. So you can see someone, like a picture of someone who is like posing in their fitness, and how do you feel about them?
I mean, like, so I get this Athleta magazine.
Yes.
And they used to have a picture of one of the models up on my vision board, whatever you want to call it.
An Athleta model on your vision board, yes.
Yeah, I mean, she's, doing this beautiful yoga pose, and
they're so happy and calm and in control, and they're so much like they live a better life than you. We should aspire for that.
Right, they have some sort of serenity about them.
Yeah, that's the symbolism.
In reality.
Yeah, they're selling symbolism through their clothing.
Yes.
And through the idea that you're looking at that body and you're getting inspiration. And if I buy those clothes, when I fit into those clothes, I'm going to buy those clothes and I'm going to have that. It's like wedding pictures, right? Looking at these, like it's like this bizarre fantasy. And it doesn't show you reality, right? So look at some of the things that you see on, let's just say, social media. How much of this stuff do you see on social media? Wouldn't you say social media is a little more extreme?
Yes, yeah. It is constant.
Yeah.
It is nonstop. Like if you're on Facebook, and so if you ever look at like a recipe or a paleo thing or something, your newsfeed gets full of all that other stuff.
Yeah, and those pictures are magnifying certain body parts too. They never really give you a lengthwise shot of the body.
Right.
Because then it would just look like a body.
Right.
They're magnifying certain areas. So they only show the hips and thighs and abs. They only show the arms. They only show the breasts, the neck, the muscle of the neckline. They only show you certain body parts, right? Because that's what they're trying to symbolize through what they're selling, right? So if you don't know that's what's going on, it's very pervasive in that you think that's what you need to have. And you have this weird snapshot in affiliation with waist and hip size. And even if you know it's unrealistic, you still have a fantasy of your body meeting that criteria in your body's way. So a lot of people say, well, I'm not that extreme, but I still need to have a better body than this, right? Based on my body type.
Right.
So it's pervasive, so people can't see that. Oh, but you're still being conditioned to believe that the better body is how you get that fantasy. Oh, that fantasy. And in that fantasy, they omit, right, the reality of what it's going to take for you psychologically and physically. That, we live in a culture that has this huge table of abundance. You know, it's the table of gluttony, excessiveness. It is here all the time. But you're telling yourself that you're going to sit at this table of deprivation and that you're going to convince yourself that you're going to feel good about it because of pride and ego, and I'm better and I'll feel good about myself. And those people that sit at the table of abundance are pieces of shit who can't control themselves. Right? No. You're going to end up at that table of abundance shoving food in your face because you got to go back to being deprived where you can't eat those foods. So when you see thinner bodies, more than likely you are not seeing the illusion or fantasy anymore, which is a week ago, you saw the illusion or fantasy and you were retching at the fact that you were never going to get that fantasy. That's the hard part, right?
Yes.
And letting that go. On the other side, how does this feel? Do you still feel, I suck, my life is over, I'm never going to get that?
Nope. I feel so much better.
It's almost like going through death. Don't you agree, to get through this? Like there's the surrender and humility of I'm somewhat dying, but I have to get my freedom.
Well, it is a death because you're giving up something that you've held as true for so long.
Well, and it feels like death. I totally agree. You've held it as truth for so long, and you held it as necessity to survive. So the brain wired to that. And so if you let it go, the brain goes, hold on, you're going to die if you let this go. It doesn't know that it's a big ego lie sold to you by this $1 trillion industry. It doesn't know that because you bought into it. You believed it. You believed it as truth. So your brain reacts and you're going to die. No one's going to love you. Everybody's going to reject you. You're going to be a piece of shit and you're not going to be able to control yourself. And you have to go through the door even though you have all those feelings. Just because it's got to be better on the other side.
Yeah, and it is.
I know. And would you say it's easy once you get over here?
Yes.
It's once you get over here. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yes. It's easy. Yeah. It's just a perceived torture that you're going to go through, but you really don't. It's just
perceived.
And
don't you agree, though, you have to accept those things that you're afraid of? You can't negotiate with a better thing than that. If you are afraid they're going to leave you, that's what you have to accept to get out. That's the irrationality. Even if logically you know it's irrational, emotionally, if that's your reasoning, that's what you have to negotiate with. People who don't have this severity of the problem think that we're extremists in how we talk about getting out. But what they don't understand is this is the severity of the extreme thinking that people have that keep them in this obsessive compulsive manic desire to be thin because my husband's going to leave me. I mean, that type of delusion. My boyfriend won't love me. My parents are going to reject me. I'll have nothing to give. Everybody's going to think I'm a pile of crap. I might lose my job. All of those thoughts are what keeps people hostage. So how are they going to free themselves from being held hostage if they aren't willing to accept the risks their brain has been convinced to believe in?
Well, is there any way, like I was, it needs to happen.
Yeah, it has to.
I just can't imagine going back.
I know.
I just can't.
Right? That
would be torture.
Yeah, okay, so with that said, we'll close with, what's the likelihood that you're going to binge in your lifetime again?
I don't believe I will.
I knew that too. You can feel it. There's no sense of, I might binge if I go to this event. Why would you binge? If you're not ashamed of the body, don't have this pressure to lose weight, the perfectionism of dieting, the morality around the food. If you don't have all of that, how do you binge? It's never going away either. So if you eat that chocolate cake, nothing's ruined. You aren't a bad person. Literally nothing. You haven't failed anything. There is more chocolate cake anytime you want it. Anytime you want it. So do you need to eat it all now in this present moment?
No, I mean, I'll just have what I want.
Yeah, and even if, let's say that's the dieting context, right? Someone who's got binge eating disorder, right, is saying, well, she doesn't understand when I feel emotionally like shit, I have to eat the whole cake, right? That emotional, that's different than the diet frame of I failed. Someone who's got the emotional reasoning behind it, they don't realize that they are reasoning with their diet and deprivation, which could be their abstinence from chocolate cake. So now you're negotiating with your abstinence. So you're still sitting at the table of limitations because of the disease model, which is why you negotiate for that chocolate cake and why you're eating the whole thing, because you're saying, oh, well, I've relapsed, so I'm going to get it all in right now because I know I'm going to go back into abstinence. This is why the disease model is such a failure, because they use abstinence instead of resolving the actual issues. And with food, it's specific to deprivation and triggering the mammal survival mechanisms that they say is addiction. Right? Okay, oh my God.
Yeah.
I went off on a lovely tangent there. Do you have anything you want to say to the listener at the close of this?
I just, again, and I might have said it before, it just take a step to do it. It's so worth it. It's worth everything in the world to feel the way I feel now, as opposed to how I felt, a week and a half ago. And facing that lifetime of misery was just not acceptable for me anymore. And I'm so happy that I called, and I'm so happy that I am moving forward with my life instead of being trapped in this cycle of insanity.
And misery. And darkness.
Yes.
And shame.
Oh, yes.
And obsession. And this is what and being trapped thinking that this is what your life is about. This is what it's about. And to realize that how miserable it is super depressing.
Yes, it is.
I know, I've been there. It's terrible.
Nobody has to live that way.
I know. Wouldn't you rather be rejected and abandoned? Yes. You're laughing because you get it now. Like, oh, no kidding. Yeah. I would rather, because those people aren't worth life for you, right? Yeah. You'd rather be alone and have your freedom of thoughts and soul. You'd rather have your soul back than to be a slave to someone else's opinion, even if it's your mom's and dad's opinion. You'd rather be free and have your own life than to live theirs so that they feel good.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of a big deal. So, all right, thanks for letting me share this.